All right, I'd like to call the May 21st meeting of the Wheaton Park District Board of Commissioners to order. Mike, please take the roll.
Commissioner Morrill?
Yes.
Commissioner Meade?
Here.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Here.
President Kelly?
Here.
I was notified that Phil's travel was delayed, and that's why he will not be here this evening.
Okay. I talked to Kim today. She was coming. First order, we have presentations. So why don't we go through those first and see if anybody else comes?
Sure. I'd like to start by recognizing Tony Signorella with Comcast. Tony, stand up. We got a nice plaque for you. Tony was in charge of we had a work day with a program called Comcast Cares. And they brought a whole slew of people out, worked with the Parks Department, Sarah O'Donnell in development, established a relationship, and it really worked out well. Everyone had fun, and I actually got calls from neighbors about how wonderful it was to see everybody running around, doing a park cleanup day. So I'll just read this briefly. 2014 Comcast Cares Day at Northside Park Project. Comcast is recognized for their dedicated commitment at the 2014 Comcast Cares Day project held at the Wheaton Park District's Northside Park on Saturday, April 26, 2014. Comcast employees enthusiastically volunteered their expense and assistance with fence and building painting as well as landscape beautification projects around Northside Park and Northside Family Aquatic Center, dated this day, 21st of May, 2014. With our sincere appreciation, thank you very much.
It's everything.
Right to the press. Okay. Let's get it in the paper tomorrow. Perfect. Thanks, Tony. We're almost done.
Okay. I see we have a second presentation.
Yes, I'd like to introduce Christina Nemitz, Superintendent of Marketing and Special Events. She will give a brief update and promotional piece on our upcoming Taste of Wheaton event. Christina?
Yes. Good evening, Commissioners. On behalf of the Wheaton Park District and the Wheaton Chamber of Commerce, we welcome everyone to come out to the Taste of Wheaton, June 5th through the 8th, presented by First Trust Portfolios. This year's fest features 4 days of entertainment, food, carnival, arts and crafts, business expo, beer garden, and lots of family fun. New this year on Thursday, we're featuring a slice of Wheaton, which will be a tasting of all of our Wheaton pizza vendors. We'll have craft beer on tap in the beer garden, local entertainment, presentation of the Wheaton Award, and our annual ribbon cutting. We do welcome all of our commissioners to join us on the stage at 5:30 for the ribbon cutting at the Taste of Wheaton. Event kicks off at 5 p.m. that night, and entertainment will go till 9. On Saturday, we'll host the 33rd annual Cosley Zoo Run for the Animals, 5K, 10K, and the Kids Half Mile Zippity Zoo Run, which will benefit the Cosley Zoo Foundation. Registration is still available at active.com, and we look forward to hosting over 2,000 runners. This year's run is presented by Cadence Health. On Saturday, we will again offer a bike valet presented by the City of Wheaton Bike Committee on Carl Skoga for those choosing to bike to the Taste, and our second annual Art in the Park, sponsored by AAA, which will feature chalk art, Kids Monster Mural, tie-dye station, create, discover, play activities and crafts for the kids, and our annual Art and Hail Arts and Crafts Fair for the adults. A full list of activities and schedule, events, and map can be found at wheatonparkdistrict.com/taste. We hope to see everyone there. Have a great night.
Thanks, Christina. Christina, is there a commissioner's division in the race? I can never win my age division. I thought maybe I'd take a shot at the commissioner's division. Maybe. No, Mark. Okay. Community input. Is anybody signed up for community input? Is anybody here that would like to address the board? Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. I need a motion on the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second. Second. Questions, comments? And Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Vanderschaft?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Unfinished business, buildings and grounds, subcommittee report. I believe everybody got the minutes from the last buildings and grounds meeting. I don't have anything new to report on those items. Unfinished business, item number 2, approval for the Gateway Garden project change order and some additions to the project scope. I would need a motion.
So move. Second.
Questions or comments?
And the total amount right now for this change order is what? Can you please remind me?
$3,743.
No, I think isn't it more than that?
There's a change order for $37.43 and then a separate
For 6,000.
a separate contract for some extra work for the part that's not finished, doing final as-built drawings and stuff like that. So it's about six. Rob, what's the actual total? Do you have it?
$2.
And 50 cents.
670,250.
With additional
So
supervision,
are
not
these-
to exceed $880.
Are these additive, or is the 3,000 within the 6,000?
No, you add them together.
Okay.
It's
So-
just 6,000. Yeah, that's the amount above the original contract for design services only.
Okay. One of the things I'd like to see, and Mike, you can probably write this up, as to what type of controls are in place. And we can talk about that later. I'd like to see that going forward.
Commissioner Vanderschaft, I did appreciate the advanced questions. I did send them to you today. Obviously, didn't have time to read them. I did leave a copy at your desk as well, and I'd be happy to review that with you in greater detail outside of the meeting.
All right? Anybody have anything else? Okay, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Vanderschaft?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Okay. Unfinished business, item 3, election of officers for the Wheaton Park District Board of Commissioners.
I'd like to move that John remain our president and Phil our vice president, with Mike the secretary and Rita being the treasurer for the
Second.
upcoming year.
Second.
Questions, comments? Is that a roll call or voice? All right, Mike, please take the roll.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderschaft?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes. Okay, new business. We have the bid results and recommendations for the Atten Park tennis and basketball court color coding project. And I believe the recommendation from staff in your board packet was to reject all bids.
Move to reject the bids.
Second.
All in favor?
Yeah, anybody have any questions or comments? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Pardon me.
Thanks. Okay, so the bids are rejected, and we're going to rebid. Second new business item, bid results and recommendations for the Graf Park synthetic turf project, the site work portion. As you recall, we've already purchased the actual field turf. Now, this is the outside contractor that's going to get the site ready for the field turf, and this piece will complete the project. We need a motion.
I move to accept the low bidder of JEM Morris Construction in the amount of $563,890.
Second.
Questions or comments? Yeah, Ray?
Have we given any thought to, and maybe we haven't, I just don't know, the maintenance of these synthetic turf? Not only the outdoor facility, but the indoor facility? And what are we doing to maintain them and make sure that they're
I can answer that if you wish. There are attachments to either tractors or heavier duty golf carts that we will be dragging the synthetic turf with. So there'll be a slight added expense. We obviously have the tractors and the vehicles already. We did purchase the system for the upstairs gym at the old Hubble building. So yeah, it's I don't have an exact estimate on what our annual maintenance nut's going to be. I can't see it exceeding the maintenance that we will no longer be doing because we have synthetic turf as opposed to growing turf that gets destroyed.
Do we do anything to sanitize these surfaces?
Yeah.
Like a wrestling mat you might want to do?
My understanding is that the sun, just as it does for sand and other areas, takes care of most of the problems there. I would defer to either Rob or Byron from White to respond to that question. I don't have a complete answer other than I know the sun kills a lot of what's going on the surfaces.
It's indoors and it's not exposed to sun.
That's a great point. So why don't we find out? I've never heard
Byron,
of
you
anybody
know.
sanitizing. It's a big bottle of Lysol, Byron, maybe.
There is disinfectant spray that you can get to spray the synthetic turf. Usually on the exterior, it's not done on an exterior one because, like you said, the sun goes off after that. Interior is a little different situation. So there is chemicals out there. There is spray sanitizer.
Thanks. So, Mike, why don't we have staff contact the manufacturer, get the maintenance and the literature on the disinfecting, and you can send it out to the board in an email, and people can see what we're doing.
Happy to do it.
Terry.
Question for Mike. In the staff report, Mike, it talks about the funding for this fiscal year was $1,250,000. Was that specifically for this project?
Yes, sir.
Does this, obviously, we're not spending, anywhere near that. Does this give us an opportunity to look at some other, perhaps, turf additions? It's a little over $250,000 beyond. What we're
It's
spending.
certainly, if the board wishes for a request from staff on how we might or might not use the balance of that budgeted figure, we'd be happy to provide it and run it through the Buildings and Grounds Committee.
Okay, thanks.
Kim.
So I'm going to take a different view there than Terry, because although we've budgeted, $1.2 million, I'm concerned that we're over $1 million with this whole project. And I personally think that this is more expensive than what we need to be spending on it.
Anybody else?
Did I miss something? I saw that the total project was under $1 million.
No, $1,068,434
Kim, you needed to look at the revised sheet that came
that
out.
Mike sent today.
No.
Yesterday, I think it was.
Total project cost?
Or Monday? It might have been Monday.
$961,434.10. Is that the total? Okay.
It was a revision was sent out subsequent to the input from the Buildings and Grounds Committee. So, and it was sent on Monday.
But it
I
is,
apologize.
it's right at, Kim, it's right at $1 million. And it's just under. Right, and we've had this discussion before, and I think when we talked about it at the first meeting, we've always talked about $1 million, that we thought it would cost $1 million, and I know we had an estimate of 125, and I know some people thought if it got up that high, they probably weren't going to vote for it, so it's coming at $1 million, and everybody will just have to make up their mind tonight as to, how they're going to go with it, but the cost is going to be about $1 million. Anybody else? Okay, Mike, take the roll.
Commissioner Vanderschaff,
No.
Commissioner Schobel,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow,
Yes.
Commissioner Mee,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson,
Yes.
President Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, new business item number 3, approval to fill a full-time vacancy, the athletic manager.
So move.
Second.
Questions, comments?
Okay, so I actually did have a lot of questions, and unfortunately, I have not had time to look at this. So,
Why don't you ask them now then, and we'll...
okay. So, help me understand a little bit more about what this position is doing that is different than the other athletic managers, or how all of the team is interacting here.
Okay, basically, we changed some of the responsibilities around between athletic managers, the athletic director, and the athletic supervisors. The main changes is that the athletic manager that
that we're filling, or not filling, but that left, is now I'm taking the responsibilities of the Wheaton Wings on.
Okay.
Justin Diener, he was football, cheerleading, and lacrosse. He is now going to the position of travel basketball, fall in-house, and fall travel baseball, which I used to have. So we're moving responsibilities around to best meet the strengths of our current staff.
And then how will this role fill in the gaps?
This role will now take over football, cheerleading, and lacrosse.
Okay. And that was then the comment about interacting with the board, with the boards?
Correct.
Okay. And no one else, and that, Mike, that was the question, no one else interacts with those boards except this athletic manager?
Every board has an appointed liaison for consistency. Obviously, the department head being Mary Beth, or in her absence, Brad, would fill in should there be a vacancy or an illness or something like that, because they know comprehensively the whole entire program. But short answer, this new person will be the sole liaison, their go-to person for that board of control for football and cheerleading. And I don't recall what Brad said about who appointed to baseball, and so I think Mary Beth's baseball and your wings. And
Right, but there's fall baseball, softball too. That's not part of the regular in-house, the board program.
Okay. So, the other thing, and this is not quite going to be under your purview, it's going to be more under Mike's or Mary Beth or you guys over here, is, and this is a little bit of confusion as well, Mike, I think, from what I saw here, the concept of looking at departments in their entirety when vacancies come up. Because, as I said in my email, we seem to just have a vacancy and we fill it, as opposed to looking at the entire organization, which it sounds like you're starting to do by saying, let's move a few things around. But it's also moving a few things around, and are we staffed appropriately? Do we need that position? Do we need to move other things around to create a different position to fill a need? So that's more at a higher level, and obviously I'm not putting you on the spot tonight for that, but that's something I'd like to talk and think about across all of the groups, because I haven't seen that, and I don't know if you're doing that, and I just don't know about it. Sure. So, thank you.
Thanks, Brad. Anybody else have any questions for Brad, as long as he's up here?
No,
Sorry.
just for Mike. Mike,
Thanks, Brad.
I saw the responses to the inquiries. Didn't you address that issue of?
she did not have an opportunity to.
No, I understand that. I understand, but
But yes, it is handled, in this particular case, obviously not district-wide, Brad's division, which is half of the rec department, was completely reorganized due to this attrition. And it's really something that does happen. You can ask department heads, anytime we have attrition, they say, uh-oh, Bernard's going to start looking at our structure and, try to see how we can deepen our dollar and deepen our time. It is not something typically, unless we are going for either a new position or a replacement position, that comes before the board. But if there's an interest, I'm happy to share.
Right.
Yeah, my 40-plus years experience indicates that whenever somebody leaves, we take a look at the responsibilities that those individuals had, and can we readjust the responsibilities and move things around and shake things up a little bit and create a little better environment and some challenges for the staff. And so, I commend Brad and the staff for looking at what are the responsibilities of the person who left, and is there somebody on staff who can do those jobs even better? And so I think it's a great thing that they're doing. I'm in favor of this.
Okay. The only comment I would have is, since it sounds like, Mike, we're doing this, it would be nice when we get this memo is you could start out with just the director of that department with a paragraph that just says, this position is vacant. We looked inside at doing this, this, and this, and none of these were options. The only solution we see is to fill, and, tell us what you did. In some cases, you may come up with something, but at least the board will know that that took place and that we're not just doing a one-for-one swap out. I wouldn't mind seeing something like that. It doesn't have to be much, but just so when I'm approving it, I know that everybody thought about all the options and this was the best solution, in your mind anyway. Anybody else? Okay, Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Hodgkinson?
Yes.
Commissioner Mee?
Yes.
Commissioner Morrow?
Yes.
Commissioner Schobel?
Yes.
Commissioner Vanderschaff?
Yes.
President Kelly?
Yes.
Thank you.
New business item 4, annual review and approval of amendments to the finance policies of the Wheaton Park District. I need a motion.
I move approval of the amendments to the finance policies of the Wheaton Park District.
Second.
Questions or comments? Kim?
So one thing that I had that Mike, you used an example for, but I'm wondering if we need a definition. This concept of emergency purchase. And has that been addressed by the subcommittee or staff? It seems a little vague to me and has the potential to be somewhat overused. And I'm wondering if there's a way we can firm that up.
Hey, Kim, can you point us to a paragraph you're talking about in the doc, if you've got it marked? Or?
Okay, yeah, hold on. It is 9 of 28.
Okay.
So down here at what had been 8 will now be 7.
Okay.
And it says emergency purchases are sometimes required. If an emergency occurs, so on and so on. So there's not a clear definition of emergency. And when Mike tried to define it, he used an example, but I'm wondering if we can have a little more structure around that.
I did provide after that example that
Oh, just
this
send it
is
over.
something that is, if it is immediate and negative, if it's an immediate and negative situation that harms our business operation, and say we're 3 weeks away from a board meeting and it's not possible to get a quorum for a special meeting. And I do believe so that's essentially the definition. We can wordsmith it and add it. But I will say, as far as the concern about overuse, I believe that the Finance Committee directed us, and I'm fairly certain it's in there, to include going past the Buildings and Grounds Committee and then ratifying through the full board. And concerning possible overuse, I've been in the leadership role in the Park District business for coming up on 12 years. And I've done this once, and it wasn't here, and it was actually that example I gave you, because we had a drought and our pumps broke, and we needed to fix them, or we weren't going to be playing golf.
Well, but using that logic, we would not need to change some of the other things within this document, because the reason that I saw here about why we're changing some of the dollar amounts that the board has to approve was because of one issue. So if we're going to change something because of one issue, it's the same logic then that we should be defining this because there's been an issue.
We're happy to define it, and Phil is not here as the other half of the Finance Subcommittee, but I think it's the concept of greater definition and higher oversight is great. We're happy to define it if that's what the board wishes.
I'm concerned if we get any lower than 10,000 on that emergency item.
Oh, I'm not talking about changing the dollar amount.
Yeah.
Just what is.
Because, we got a pump that's bad, and we just went out for 3 quotes. But if that pump would have broke before we got our 3 quotes.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, if that pump we would have to fix it. We have 3 quotes that we were looking at tonight. But, and one of them was $6,000 and the other 2 were under 5. So, but if something bigger than this chilled water pump breaks, Mike's limit used to be higher. So if we want to define emergency, I'm fine with that. I just don't want to see that amount get any lower, because certain things that, we have big facilities and we have expensive things. And if something breaks, I don't want Mike to have to try to figure out how he's going to get approval to spend $11,000 and we have no air conditioning at the community center,
Yeah, I'm not concerned with the dollar of that one.
Just
I'm concerned
defining-
with the definition of what it is.
Okay. So we could approve this document tonight, and then we could ask the Finance Committee to just come back next month with supplemental wording just to that paragraph.
I disagree to an addendum to it, spelling out what falls in
Just
there.
that one thing. I'd be fine with that. Anybody have anything else? And Mike, take the roll, please.
Commissioner Vanderschaff,
Yes?
Commissioner Schobel,
Yes.
Commissioner Morrill,
Yes.
Commissioner Mee,
Yes.
Commissioner Hodgkinson,
Yes.
President Kelly.
Yes.
Thank you.
I need just a second. Okay. Then we don't have any more new business, so reports from staff.
We have an annual report that was sent to you
Report.
essentially a week ago, I think. as requested by the board for additional reading time. Sue is here to address any questions or comments concerning the annual report for Cosley Zoo for 2013. Thanks, Sue.
Kind.
So, nice
It was
job.
so good, nobody has any questions.
So the
be
message
nice.
from you on, essentially the first page, I thought it was at least a kind of a brief executive summary, so I appreciated that. So I don't have any questions about it. I think it was fairly comprehensive.
I think the zoo is doing a great job of boosting the revenue, and this was one of your best years ever, even with the borrowing from the reserve, which was a scheduled budget item. I found the photos in this report, Sue, to be very compelling. I really liked how this looked.
Oh, great, thank you.
I would say job well done. I
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it as well.
Don't stop now.
I just, no, I think, I don't know if you were here, I don't know if you were here at the time of comment, but my wife and I, within the last month, strolled around the zoo, and it's been a while since I've been there, and I was really impressed from knowing it from the past, so,
It's changed a
a
lot.
heck of a lot of growth, yep, all good.
Thank you.
I had a question about rentals. So this is just generic rentals, but we had been trying to promote more like weddings or shower type of things there. Are we being successful? Is that what this increase is?
It's a combination, yes. There's, we've been working with the rental charter and helping get the word out more. That has definitely helped quite a bit. And we're also finding a lot of word of mouth that people come to another person's event for a child's party, and then they will do it a little bit later. So I think it's a combination of both things.
It looks like, though, we need to target, is it Wyoming? Because they have not visited the
I don't
zoo.
get it.
No one from Wyoming.
We've had them in the past.
Ray?
I want to thank the Cosley Foundation for their support and their hours that they put into our organization and helping to raise money for us and be our advocates out there in the community. A lot of good people volunteering their time and efforts to make this facility as the best it can be, and so thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Mike, do you have an update for us?
A quick verbal update that will be followed up with some email concerning our strategic planning process. We have completed our preliminary work amongst our charter groups for the 2015 through 2019 strategic plan and open space facility master plan. We have an executive summary to present to the board so we know we're on the right track. And that will be forthcoming. We have 55 staff members at all levels, part-time, full-time, no seasonals yet, but we'll get there, working on this strategic plan. And we're very proud of the work that we've done so far. We have a couple of commissioners who are assisting us, and we're ready to move into the next strategic plan and wrap up the 2010 to 2014. We have a follow-up that we're going to ask you to take a look at to our last major focus group sessions that we did earlier in 2013. That was done as a kickoff to planning for this strategic plan effort. We're going to circle back with everybody that participated in the focus group program, let them know the value that their contributions of time and input provided towards planning for our future, and enroll them in the process in the future as well as we get towards the end of this year. We have a timeline that I believe calls for submission for board approval in September of this year of the 15 to 19 strategic plan. So stay tuned. A lot of great things are happening.
Okay. I'll just open it for any board members who have anything. Yeah, Mark?
I got to thinking that, and it's basically, looking at the grounds of Arrowhead and certain areas of other parks, and I think, Deb, you did a fine job, within your budget. But I'm wondering, and this is just one commissioner, and maybe if there isn't support to look at this, maybe we ought to try to contact our garden clubs that are in if there aren't any more in Wheaton, to see if they want to assist us in possible design of what's going on at Arrowhead and some other places that we have. Because when I look out, one of the things at the driving range from the bar, I'm like, what's going on here?
You're never in that bar, are you?
Yeah, we're, and in other areas that I see planters and stuff, and I see too many weeds, and I'm thinking this is right up their alley, and something might be going for the master gardener certification, and this might be something they might want to help us with.
I think
I'm
it's
just trying to think about
an
the
excellent
avenues
idea.
to alleviate some of the pressure on debt. How many acres we got? What, 60-some acres of parks?
60 acres?
Isn't it?
It's like 700 acres.
No. I mean, 60 parks. I mean, there's 60 parks on so many acres. Yeah.
I know you've been around a long time, but I think there was at least 6 acres when you started 50 years ago as a commissioner.
Acres, yeah, but I mean, all the acres that we have, I mean, it's just hard to maintain all that. And
Yeah.
I do
And
my
you know
own
what?
thing when I'm out there waiting on a tee box and I see the weeds in the garden. I'm out there picking them. But I think this is something that I know that a lot of these garden clubs are. Some of them going for the master gardener certification, and this might just be up their alley.
I think you're exactly right. Let's match up the Master Gardeners with the Eagle Scouts, and Deb will have a
I'm just
workforce.
thinking outside the box here.
Hey, it's great.
It's just one commissioner's opinion, doesn't it? I mean, if it doesn't get support, then move on.
But even though Jane doesn't like your idea, I think it's fine.
I feel like I've learned something at every one of these meetings about someone.
I'm still having a hard time getting used to Mark thinking outside the box.
It's a pretty small box.
Anybody else have anything? Terry?
I want to recognize Margie and her staff, marketing people. You guys are knocking it dead as far as marketing, so I know you're working hard. I also want to recognize the Park District and the Community Center staff, as well as our 3 high schools, Wheaton Warrenville South, Wheaton North, St. Francis, for the continued use of Community Center for the post-prom events. I mean, they continue to be year after year well attended. I think we're probably going on about 15, 20 years, aren't we?
Ray
Using?
would know. He started it.
Yeah. It's
A long time. It's a
it's
great event.
pretty phenomenal.
I worked the first 3.
Question either for Sarah or Margie, either one of you. How are our numbers for attendees or enrollees for the Run for the Animals stacking up this year to last year?
We are a little bit behind from last year, but that is kind of the same across the board for most runs because of the inclement weather that we've been seeing. And other race directors have shared that information with us. We are steadily increasing numbers in registration as the weather is better. Yesterday we were at about somewhere in the 900s, and now we're in the 1,000 level as far as participants. And then we see a surge within this next week and a half, and looking in past history reports. So I'm confident that we're going to get there.
Good. Mike, one last one. Emerald Ash, we still got a lot of tree work that we have to do all over?
Yes.
Okay. Is that just a continual?
It's a great time to be in the tree removal business.
And we're doing some of it ourselves?
Quite a bit of it ourselves. We needed to move in a more in a quicker fashion before the golf season, so
Sure.
we contracted out a great deal of work there. But there's another 250 in the park system that we are taking down. We've got a tree crew that all they do is move from tree to tree to tree to tree. We're not in the same situation as the city with
No.
millions of dollars.
Hopefully
of
not.
Tree liability, but I think our total was in the vicinity of 300, Deb, I believe. 300 trees, and I think we're probably through 100 of them, maybe 40 on the golf course and 40 or 50 out your end of the
If not a little
operation.
more.
Not bad. Cool. Thanks, Mike.
A lot of firewood.
Yeah, thank you.
What do you do with the trees once they're cut? How do you dispose of them?
We chip up the brush and we split the rest for firewood.
Okay.
That doesn't spread in,
No, a lot of the bark is off of it already, and
Okay.
it's dead once the tree's gone, so it's gone.
Anybody else? Ray?
Yeah, I would hope that with this Grant Park synthetic turf, we're going to have a dedication that will be part of, because I think this is a major project that we're undertaking, and I would hope that we would do that.
Maybe we can combine that with the Hubble.
Yeah, that would be what we need to do. Right?
Well, after Hubble, and I guess my
Hubble,
other question.
I mean, we're still talking about doing something.
and
When we get our fields open, and the whole project is done.
that's my next question, and I don't need an answer tonight, but can I have an update on what's going on with the athletic fields at Hubble?
I can provide a brief update. I have been, as you might expect, in close communication with Bradford Equities and their general contractor, and they have the obligation to finish the grading, remove the material that's out there, and seed the land. I think they missed some opportunities to start, but they committed to moving forward as of Monday of this week, and I have seen activity out there. So they are, hopefully, we're seeding and growing by sometime in June, and then we're just going to grow this whole year and possibly cut in a couple of fields, and then we'll be going out to bid. I'm assuming it's going to be in the spring for the lights and the other amenities.
So we're not looking at having the athletic groups use that until 2016?
15 fall probably, but it depends on how good of a growing season we have for the turf and how soon we can get the project accomplished. It's going to be some time yet, but we need to start growing some grass.
Make sure that staff know the timeline.
I believe Rob, I think we have some of it in this year's budget, and
Yeah, we have some of it is in this year's budget.
Yeah, to start working on the ball fields that we don't need really significant outside contractor assistance with because our trades division and our parks and
Well, sideline
grounds
fencing
division,
and some of that stuff.
fencing. Yeah, we can get started, but the major expense of the lights is probably not going to be in until the spring, right? All right, Rob.
So those grants are due July 1st, and usually they announce them in January. So the hope is that we apply for that, we can get some outside funding to do those lights, get those in the spring as soon as possible.
You're referring to the OSLAD grant in this case, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
July, we're eligible again for an OSLAD. July is the deadline. That would be up to the board to determine which project, if any, we wanted to submit for. But the recommendation is going to be taking care of facility development that we have ongoing. It's a good project for OSLAD.
Is there going to be a sign on the outside of the CAC other than that one that's the stake sign right now?
Yeah, I reckon we're going to need to
I mean,
get that on the sign.
Yeah, because, you drive past Mariano's and then you see this building, and if you don't see that, then you don't really know exactly what it is. I've had,
Well, there's been talk about getting a naming policy and naming that building too.
Renaming it something.
Oh.
Not CAC. That name just kind of evolved, but
okay.
there are people who aren't too thrilled with it.
Well, there are people that don't like our festival names too, but.
Oh, well.
Oh, well, they'll have to live with it.
No, but all of these issues are going to sort themselves out, Commissioner
Themselves.
Cousins, and I can assure you.
Anybody else? I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
No closed session.
Margie?
I thought we were coming through.